Welcome everyone to Live Dreams. We're glad you're here. Janet and I are hosting tonight. How you doing, Janet?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. Thanks for jumping in.
Sure.
Thanks for your patience, everyone. We were having a little bit of problems earlier, just getting the system logged in with our passcode, but we got it worked out. We'd love to hear from you if you've got a short dream. We have a pretty open back end. We have Sebastian that we're going to go to first. But if you have a short dream, we'd love to hear from you. I'm going to add Sebastian now. Sebastian.
Hello. Hi.
Hi.
Welcome.
So I had a dream that I was at my cousin's house, and supposedly I woke up like at 9 or 4 p.m. Something like that, and all of a sudden it was morning, but I know like when it gets to 9 p.m. and 4 p.m. it's usually dark, usually, and all of a sudden that what's it called? I go downstairs. Nobody's downstairs, and it's just me, and I'm over here like sitting on the sofa, just doing nothing. All of a sudden I see like someone coming down the stairs, and that person was my mother, and my mother was like telling me thank you. She was telling me thank you, and she was like saying that she is so proud of me, and then she was like saying that she's so happy that my brother was here with me, because my brother actually came down to visit me, and all of a sudden that somebody else comes downstairs, and I thought it was like one of my cousins, but it was actually my brother. And I was like thinking, okay, my brother's gonna see my mother, but he doesn't see her. Only I can see her. So my brother is the only one who can't see her, but I can. And after that, I just woke up.
Is everyone still alive, Sebastian? Is your mom still alive?
That was all.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Can you hear me okay? It says your mom passed away in 2019. Is that true?
Oh.
Can you hear us? I don't think he can hear us. Someone in the comments said his mom passed away. So I'm just going to repeat the dream as far as I understand it, because I'm not sure I got it all correct. But
Right.
he was asleep, and he either woke up at 9 or 4 p.m. Right? I'm pretty sure that's what he said. And then there was no one downstairs. He went downstairs to the sofa, and then he saw his mom coming downstairs. That said, thank you. She's happy that her brother's there. And then someone else comes downstairs, and it's his brother. And the brother doesn't see the mom, and only he sees her. So that's what I got. Is that what you heard, Janet?
Yeah, that's what I heard too.
Great. Okay. So are you hearing anything on this one? You want to give it a shot?
Sebastian, can you hear us now?
Yes.
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 Okay. I think we lost you there for a little bit, so I wasn't sure if you could hear us or not. So you woke up at what you thought was 9 or 4 o'clock, and then you thought,
Yes.
So you were expecting it to get dark then, is that right? But instead,
Yes.
instead the sun, the sun was coming up. It was more like morning. So
Yeah.
So what I heard for that is did your mom pass away in 2019?
Yes, she did.
Okay.
2019.
So for that part of the dream, I heard that, you had gone into some, like a time of mourning. It seemed like a very, very dark time, and which is you know, especially once your mother died, that's perfectly normal. You're going to go into a grieving period. So it's like you're expecting it to be dark and sad. But I feel like, you know, let's see, 2019, it's been about 4 years since your mom has passed. So I feel like the mourning is like that almost like that grieving is over and a new day is coming. A new day of rejuvenation is coming. Of course, you know, you'll miss your mom, but you're kind of past that mourning to where it, you know, I don't know how much you know about grieving, but there comes a time where you kind of get beyond the super sadness all the time, and you get to where you are feeling more yourself, I guess is probably the best way to say it. But you're also going downstairs, which means, you know, you're probably going back into your past. You know, sometimes in dreams when you go downstairs, you're going into something in the past. So, and you see your mom, so you're remembering your mom, and she's telling you, and I think that's also representative, like the Lord is trying to tell you that he is proud of you too. It's interesting that your brother doesn't see her though. That part of it, I would still, I'm not hearing a lot on why that is, but I don't know, Cody, if you were kind of hearing about the same thing or if you were hearing anything on that part of it.
Yeah, I'm hearing something similar with a little different take at the end. And so let me pick up kind of where she was. So is there any offense between you and your brother, Sebastian?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting. So, okay. So this is kind of what I'm getting. So I can see the morning and the morning. So what I heard for 9 to 4 is I actually heard 9 to 5. So there's some work to be done. So there's some work to be done, and your mom's encouraging you.
Okay.
She's encouraging you. Sorry, I just feel the presence of the Holy Spirit. When it does that, it makes it hard for me to speak.
You're fine.
Your mom is coming down the stairs, and she's encouraging you to make it right with your brother, whatever that is, right? And the reason, so there, I agree with what Janet said. It could include some mourning, but coming downstairs, getting to the bottom of something, that whatever the offense is with your brother, your mother, so, and the Lord's just using your mother to communicate to you because it's really your father's heart. And your mother is a symbol of love to you. Mm-hmm. And so the Father, our Heavenly Father, is encouraging you to get to the bottom of, to get the work done, and he's telling you, because your brother can't see it, that you need to get the work done to make it right with your brother and restore, and as much as you're able, restore whatever that offense is between you and your brother. And so that's why your brother can't see your mom, because the Lord's speaking to you about the issue with your brother, and your mom's encouraging you and applauding you to get this work done. And it is hard when you lose your mom. I agree with what Dawn said.
Yeah.
Does any of that resonate with you, Sebastian?
Yeah.
Did your brother sit down on the couch with you? I can't remember what you said there at the end.
No, it was just me. I was sitting on the couch, and my brother was like grabbing stuff. I think he was grabbing something from the kitchen, but I was like thinking that he was gonna see me and my mother, but I guess not. He can't see you.
Okay.
I mean, he can't see my mother. He said hi to me, but he can't see my mother.
Yeah.
Was he downstairs with you though? In the dream?
He came down the stairs.
Yeah, he came down the stairs. I just keep hearing that.
Yeah,
kind of go along with what Cody was saying. I just kept hearing like he needs to sit down with you on the couch, you know, to have a good long talk about things. So just to add to what Cody was saying there. just encourage him to sit down with you and on the couch to talk.
Yeah. Yeah, I could totally see that.
Okay. Because it sounds like he's so busy upstairs doing other things, he doesn't necessarily want to come sit down, perhaps.
Yeah.
And so that's the encouragement, Sebastian. You're having an encouragement from your Heavenly Father to do what you can do to get to the bottom of whatever this offense is with your brother. Your mother's so excited to see that you've invited your brother over. And so you've got, it's a call to you to do the work, Sebastian.
Okay.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you for coming on.
Thank you so much.
And you may need to go back and replay this so that you can hear it if you're having any connectivity issues. But thank you, Sebastian. Call back, okay?
Okay, thank you so much.
You bet.
All right, so it looks like we have Dusty in the back. We're going to get Dusty next. And we have an open studio. If you have a dream, we'd love to hear from you. We've got a moderator. Thanks for our moderator, Joey, for moderating the comments. If you're in the comments, and it's hard for me personally to kind of keep up with the comments, but if you're in the comments posting a dream, please click the link and come in. We'd love to hear from you. So we're going to get Dusty in now. Welcome, Dusty.
Hi, how y'all doing?
Excellent, thank you.
Good. Okay, are you ready for me?
Sure.
Okay.
If you're ready for us.
Yes. So I had 2 dreams 2 nights in a row, and they had so many similarities. I know I need to keep them both short. So I'm wondering if I should just give you the things that were similar, or just, they're pretty short, both of them.
Well, we're going to do them both, Dusty, but here's the deal. You can't edit the dreams, right? You got to tell the whole dream, because when you edit the dreams, you leave something out. So we don't have a full back room. Normally we would just want to do one, but because we have a pretty open back room, let's hear them both. And just, we'd love to see if we can help you here.
Okay. Okay. So the first one, I was in a dormitory setting with a bunch of girls, and I was getting ready. I had my makeup finished, but I didn't have my uniform on. My uniform is a flight attendant uniform. And I overheard a girl from my old work at a restaurant that I used to work at. I overheard her say that she was going to get me fired because I was ready. Or I'm sorry, she was going to get me fired because I wasn't ready. But the fact of the matter was, I didn't need to be ready yet. It wasn't time to go. So I went out to go try to defend myself. The supervisor that she spoke to was now my flight attendant supervisor. And he said, I'm going to try to get you fired because I don't like the way you stand. And then I started talking to a bunch of coworkers that I don't know in real life, but they were flight attendant coworkers. And they said, we don't like the way he is treating any of us. He's making things up about all of us. So I went back in to get dressed, and my flight attendant uniform was a really, really old uniform that would have been maybe like in the 50s or 60s. It was a sweater fabric, and it's very stretched out. So then I was going to put that on. I went back to talk to him, and he had sent the girl that had first told on me. He said, I'm going to send her downstairs to get to the supervisor said he was going to send her downstairs to get to his supervisor before I could speak to his supervisor. So Paige, the girl who initially wanted to tell on me, ran downstairs, and I told my supervisor, you need to give me back all of my things. He had taken everything that I had from all my tools. I used to be a fashion designer. He had all my coloring pens, my pencils, my drawings. And he said, I don't like the way that you do your sophisticated drawings. I like the way the kids are doing the cartoon drawings of the fashion models. And so grabbed my stuff back. I got it back from him. I ran downstairs, and the supervisor's supervisor ended up being the person who had hired me for my flight attendant job now. And I have favor with this person. And so I was glad he was the one I was going to speak to. I went to talk to him and tell him everything was going on. And then every one of the employees lined up because they were going to back me up and dream.
Okay. All right. Okay.
And I think that the next one's shorter.
Okay.
So the next one, I was in my old apartment, but it is my ex sister-in-law's apartment in the dream. And she said to me, "Don't you need to be ready for work?" And I looked and I said, "Oh no, I only have 12 minutes. So I went to put my flight attendant uniform on again. And again, this time the tights at the top of the tights were all stretched out. And I thought, okay, I'll put them on and I can hide them underneath my dress. I went to check in for my flight, or because we have to, when we get to the airport, we have to check in, and that proves that we're there. I went to check in, and the airport was across the street from the house. So I should have been able to check in time, but it didn't allow me to check in. So I get to the airport, and she was the TSA, but also the gate agent in the dream. And she said, "You're late." And she was giving me a really hard time. And I'm like, "I'm only like 2 minutes late." And then I called who would be like my supervisor. And I said, I tried to check in and it wouldn't let me. And then he said something about the Lord. And I said, "Oh, you know the Lord?" And he said, "Yeah, but you're still going to get the, you're still going to get the point," which is like what we get if if we're late or we get in trouble or we're sick, we get a point. That was the end of that dream. Oh, and I didn't have my makeup on in the second dream. So the similarities were they were both negative dreams or felt negative. My uniform was stretched out when I had the makeup on. The next dream, I didn't have my makeup on. And I felt like people were being nefarious in both of them. And they were both about work. So.
Yeah. All right. So let me look through this real quick because that's a lot. So we're just going to hit the high points. And okay, so you're in a dorm with some girls. You're getting ready, flight attendants, and you don't have to be ready yet. But one of the girls, is this a person that really is part of your crew? I think her name's Janet. That's going to go tell on you to try to get you fired.
Her name's Paige, and she is not a flight attendant. She was from my old restaurant I worked at.
Okay. Okay. And she doesn't like the way that you stand. And for sure, on the stand part, I got your Christian faith.
Mm-hmm.
And then your coworkers didn't like it. Or the boss. What was it about the coworkers? They didn't like it either?
They didn't like the way that the boss was treating them as well. They said that the boss was making stories up about them too.
Yeah, because your boss didn't like it. So the page with the boss, and then you had these old 50s sweater kind of outfits that were stretched out. And then he sent the original girl to try to go over his head to get you in more trouble, but you had favor with them. And he took all your tools. And then they like the way the kids do it. And then, so you had favor, and then everyone lines up to back you up. Okay, so that one has a negative event in it, but it actually ends out really favorable. And then the next one was, it's your old apartment, but you have an ex-sister-in-law. Right?
Pardon? Yeah, ex-sister-in-law, but it's in the dream, it was her apartment.
Yeah. And then you have to check in, and you're late. The TSA agent's the same as the gate agent. Call the supervisor, and then somehow it goes back to the Lord, but you still get in trouble for being late. And then your trousers were your tights were stretched out, and you still got a point. You still got penalized for being late, and you didn't have any makeup on, so you weren't really completely ready.
Yeah.
Okay, from a high level, this is kind of what I'm getting. So it's interesting. I'm going to put out the things I'm going to just talk through the things that are standing out. So in both dreams, you have an old apartment, which is now your ex-sister-in-law's, right? So there's something from your past. And then you have Paige, who's from your old restaurant life, yet she's trying to get you fired. So, and then both of these have to do about the Lord, and both of them have to do about your late, and then they both have to do with your clothing being too stretched out. For sure, what I'm getting on a basic level is that you've outgrown, and not in a fat kind of way, but you've outgrown. The Lord has something more for you in something new that is coming along. So I hate to say this because it's such a bad metaphor for a woman, but it's almost like you outgrew your pants, but not as in you've gained weight. It's like the Lord has something more for you, not necessarily in a negative way. And as you stand for the Lord, you're going to face opposition. And so in the dream where and part of it, okay, so in the dream where they like the kids to do it. So part of the discrimination is going to be, one, because you're a Christian, but two, they're going to try to come and try to get someone younger to do what you're doing. But you have the tools to create, like you used to be a fashion designer, but you have the tools to create your own, in a sense, if you'll bear with me, in a sense, you have the tools to create your next outfit, what the Lord's taking you to. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be fashion, but the Lord is calling you, has something more for you to step into. That's kind of the general sense, and you will find opposition. I do find it's interesting that you kind of have these old outfits in the first one, but if I had to just say generally, what am I getting? One is you're going to have an opposition for your Christian beliefs in your workforce. Two, the Lord is calling you into something bigger. It's not that you've outgrown the position, but you're something more. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And two, it feels like this is something that you're late to, that he's been calling you at for a while now. That's kind of where I'm at on generally both of those. Janet, I'd love to hear what your take on this is.
Well, I heard, really similar to what you were saying as well. There's, definitely you've got old stretched out sweater, an old uniform, and then you've got old tights that are all stretched out. So I kept hearing like old wine skins. So which goes back to the scripture talking about you can't put new wine into old wine skins. So basically, the Lord is wanting to give you something new, and you can't put it back into an old wineskin. If I remember correctly, if you put new wine in old wineskins, they basically crack, and you lose all your wine. You lose everything. Basically, it just wasn't done. It was actually unheard of for that time. So I just keep hearing that, So God, it's almost like God wants to give you new wineskins, but you can't put the old, whether it's a mindset or you just you don't feel like you're ready. It's almost like he wants you to get rid of that mindset that you're not ready. And then you've got all these people accusing you of being late, of not being ready, of not having all your tools. It's almost like, and I think I saw someone say it in the chat, like the accuser is like bombarding you almost with, well, you're not ready. You don't have your makeup on, that sort of thing. You're not dressed properly. I mean, it's just like one thing after the other.
Yeah.
And I just keep hearing, like, just don't listen to them. The Lord doesn't want you to listen to all. And I keep hearing like gossip and naysaying. All these people. I don't know if there's people in your lives that are telling you, oh, you can't do that, or if you're just telling yourself that. But I just keep hearing there's definitely something or someone or even your own mindset that might be holding you back from whatever it is he has prepared for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that makes sense. But the 12 minutes was also interesting.
Yeah.
12 is, usually, not always, but often the number for government or some kind of governmental calling. So, I would pray into that as well, because that might be a key part of it. Maybe he's got something at just a different level of, and yeah. So
let me jump in real quick. Do you
go ahead, Coach.
do you have any ministry or any working with human trafficking?
No, but for probably 20 years, I've felt the Lord call me to it, and my husband now feels called to it. And
that's the first thing I heard. So when you said a dormitory full of girls, the first words I heard was human trafficking.
Yeah, it was like dark. It was a dark dormitory. Like, I've been to Thailand, and it just kind of felt like a place that would be like kind of underground, dark, dirt ground. That's how it felt. Yeah.
So I think the Lord is one, because you're kind of, I don't want to say you're late to the party, but the Lord's been calling you. And you have something bigger for you, and it may be in the area of a governmental calling or focusing around human trafficking. I would, for sure, like Janet said, pray into that.
Okay.
Does any of that resonate with you?
Absolutely, 100%. Yep.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. We love having you. Those are cool classes, by the way. Thanks, guys.
Okay. Right. Thank you.
All right, so we're going to try to go in order. And it looks like in the order that I'm seeing, it's going to be Kayla, Julie, and then Mary Susan. I don't know if I said her name right. So we're going to go for Kayla next. Kayla, welcome. Hey, Kayla.
Hello. All right. So, the dream that I had, I think it was like last week. And so it starts out, I am... can't remember. It was like a dream within a dream, so I'm trying to figure out where it all started. I think I was going to school, and I think like after school, a friend of mine, we were going to go to a restaurant. I think like during their like happy hour or something, and we were going to eat, maybe have a couple drinks to go along with it or something, and just socialize together. And then afterwards, I was going to, I think, go to my dad's house or something. And so it was like from 2 to 5 was their happy hour. And so I remember after I got out of school, I had my phone, and I didn't have a car, so I was going to get an Uber. And so I'm walking away from the school, and I'm going towards the road because it wasn't finding my location properly. So I was like trying to get it to assess where I was. And then as I was getting to the end of the or closer to the street, I realized, I guess I had my 9-month-old with me, and I was like, oh crap, I can't forget her, because I guess I had left her in one of the classrooms in the school. And I was like, oh no, I can't forget my baby. I can't have my stepmom pick her up, which was interesting. I don't know why I thought that, but anyway. So I go back, and as I get closer to the school, it assesses my location. It's able to pinpoint my where I was. And then instead of like going in the school, like I go in my car. I go like, what? I didn't have a car. Anyway, so I go in my car, and I go on the passenger side, and I have my phone flat, and it's like the now the map is like a 3D map that's kind of like a hologram floating above my phone. And the AI, there's like this AI voice. It's on Google Maps, and this AI is trying to find it, and then for some it was seeming like it was having a hard time a little bit. So it made this weird remark like, oh, something like it made a comment about it being dumb or something. I can't remember exact words. And then when it had like the little, the little circle with the point at the bottom, you know, when it says like you are here kind of thing. Then it showed that. It's like, oh, just kidding, I'm not dumb. But the way that it said it though, it really irked me because it was like, it was this like really calm and collected female voice, but it sounded kind of conceited, just kind of like almost like, oh, just kidding, I'm not dumb. Like, how could that happen? I couldn't possibly be dumb, kind of. And it just rubbed me the wrong way. And so then it found my the precise location. And it's like, now that I've gathered more than enough information to find your location, and it was just like, what? I just kind of took me aback, and I was like, okay, what is it? How much information did it take? What did it take? You know? And then it was weird because like the stuff that was the hologram kind of thing, it's almost like it went down, and then my phone was like a drain, it's like the drain in the kitchen sink where it's kind of like a strainer, you know, and then it kind of went down the strainer, and it was like this green, like nasty green color. And then it started talking to me about like these really like vile plans or something that it was going to do against humanity. And I was really tempted just to turn it off or to get rid of, you know, somehow like turn it off, because I was just like, this is disgusting. I don't even want to hear this. This is nasty. You know, this is obviously of the enemy, but I was like, part of me kind of wanted to know at the same time. So I was like, okay. So I just kind of, I started listening to it, and it was saying that it was going to bring this revival, and which obviously was not a revival of life, you know. So it's talking about that, and it's like, and how are we going to bring this? Through space. And then when it said that, there was a splat of rain that hit the windshield, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what is that? Are they going to poison us? Like, what is this that they're doing? And so then it said, so when you wake up in the morning, be sure to take a nice deep breath. And then it started raining shortly after that. And I'm like, you know, like, okay, I got to like cover my mouth because I don't know what this is, but I need to try to, you know, keep myself from getting affected by this, because I noticed then that my window on the passenger side wasn't closed all the way. And I was trying to get it closed. And then as I was trying to close the window, then something happened with the door, and it was just, I couldn't keep it from coming in as much as I tried. And I grabbed this like fleece or like flannel. It was like a flannel jacket with the fleece lining. And I tried to like cover my face with it so that I wouldn't get affected by whatever this was. And then, and so as I was doing that, as I was trying to like fix the window in the car, so then I put the jacket up in the window to try to like keep out the rain. And by the way, as all this was happening, it was at night, which was interesting for the afternoon. So then there was a girl that, as I was doing that, I noticed that there was a girl that was beside the car, and she was just screaming because whatever it was that she was caught in this rain. I don't know if it was like an acid rain or what. She was, hey dear, hold on. I hear you. Okay. I hear you. Can you hold on to that thought? How about you go draw it for me? Can you go draw it for me? Okay, thank you. So she was out there screaming. She was in so much pain that she was laying on the ground screaming in pain, and she couldn't get up, and she was just laying in, you know, whatever this was. And so I just started praying, and I was like, God, we need your revival, we need your fire, we need your protection. And I'm just like, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to save her. I don't even know if I'm going to be protected or not. I'm just having faith that I am, because I wasn't feeling the Holy Spirit. I wasn't hearing from the Holy Spirit. I was like, I'm just going to go, you know? And so I opened my door and I go out there to try to help her and get her in my car. And I apparently wasn't being affected by this rain and whatever was in the rain. And so there was another woman that showed, or another person, I don't know if it was a woman, but another person that showed up, and then they were helping me get her into my car as well in the back seat. And then after I get her in the car, I get in the passenger seat again. I shut the door, and then I'm talking. I sit facing towards the rest of the car. It was like a hatchback, some kind of hatchback sedan, and I'm facing that direction. And there's other people in my car now, and there's 3 different kinds of people that were in the car. There was people that were turned towards me listening. There were people that were asleep, and there were people that were completely turned away, looking at some kind of like vile witchcraft thing. I don't even know what it was, like something with an eye, and I don't even know what else. And so I was trying to tell them what my phone had said, and I was trying to inform them, to try to like help them to be aware of what had happened. And that's at the end of the dream.
Okay. Well, that's an exciting dream. We're going to let Janet give it a go for a second, but man, that's really exciting. And I think that there's going to be 2 applications with this dream. So there's going to be a personal application for you, which I'll probably cover, but there could be a bigger application, which I don't know if we'll be able to get into fully here. But you would probably, Joey, are you in the back? What's the email that we have for sending? Can you put the email in that we want dreams sent in? I want you to send me the dream for the other implications, but we'll talk about at least what we're hearing on a personal level. Janet, are you hearing anything?
I mean, there was a lot to it, so I might just,
if you want me to, I can, or whatever, where you can talk about whatever part you want.
So at the beginning of the dream, you were coming out of a school, or you were going into a school?
I was, okay, all right. That's my 3-year-old. He's very involved in this dream right now. I was coming out of the school, I think, and when this part started, I was already outside of the school.
Outside of the school. So you would come from a place of learning. That's what I kept hearing, that so you're coming from a place of learning, and then you're meeting with a friend at a restaurant. So I get, in general, for most of this, like, okay, so the Lord has taught you something, and you have this element of, it's happy hour right now. At first it was happy hour. So you're sitting with your friends and everything seems okay and fine and great. But once you step outside of that place, it's almost like you're stepping into like the reality of what's really happening outside. That's the image I got. So you have, in general, again, you have your phone, it's giving you direction. And I kept hearing like the Lord is trying to give you, He's taught you some things, and now He's trying to give you more specific direction as far as how to do it, or where to go next, or what to do. And then there's some other elements in there too that maybe Cody can speak on, but I definitely heard He's trying to give you specific directions. Now there's some interference because you have this other AI trying to almost what's the word? Like, not intercede, but when you're on the line and you start getting all these hearing other things. I can't think of the word right off, but it's like there's some kind of AI, some kind of, it's probably most likely in the spiritual realm trying to run interference. So you're not hearing clearly, they're trying to make it so you're not hearing the directions clearly. And they're giving you all this other stuff, like, I can't remember what all you said, but just weird things like that. And you're like, what is that? Like, I don't even know what that is. So, that sort of thing. So that's, there's more to it, but maybe Cody, you can
thank you so much
from there.
Yeah, thank you.
And I can kind of fill in.
All right, so let's talk about generally. I'm going to talk about, there's 2 layers here. There's going to be you personally, and then it's going to meld into kind of this higher calling. Okay, so you personally, and just listen. Like, when you get a word, you're gonna pray about it and see what the Lord says, right? And look for confirmation. But there's a word in here for you personally that the Lord's pointing out. But it comes out really good in the end. So I think that part of the word at the beginning, and I'm not going to repeat the whole dream, but you're kind of like in school, but you're ready for happy hour, but then you forget that your daughter, you have a 9-month-old with you. So I think that part of you personally as a mother is that there's some limitations felt or pressure felt on you that maybe your current role is limiting your ability to have fun, right? And that there's this kind of a little bit of a longing for a past season when there was more fun, but there was a time when the Lord has prepared you for I'm going to just use the word a coming shaking, right? And so first off, you didn't have a vehicle and you're needing an Uber, and you've kind of lost your way and you're not unable to find your location, right? And so that's kind of this feeling of I don't even know how to, so just take this with a grain of salt because it's not the right words, but it's almost like this feeling of lost youth or being held down and not have, I hate this word, but not being able to, missing out. How about that? You might be missing out. Is that a better way to put it? So there might be some feeling of missing out. You've lost your way a little bit, but the Lord has taken you through a way and he's prepared you and he's revealed to you that there is a nefarious plan. There is an unnatural intelligence that is demonically, nefariously inspired, that is represented through the AI. And there are definitely 3 different kinds of people that have shown up. And those 3 types of people are people that are listening, the church potentially that's asleep, or people in general that is asleep, and then the people who are under the spell of what the nefarious players, the demonic players. But the cool part is through this journey of not having an Uber and not being able to find your way, suddenly you have a car, even if you're just a passenger and you're not necessarily driving, you're a passenger in your vehicle, destiny forward, but the Lord is going to utilize you in this time of shaking. He's kind of shown you the plans of the enemy, and he's going to use you to rescue some people. So thank you, Lord, right? Or be part of this rescue operation so that you're out trying to wake people up. Ultimately, it doesn't do this, but, magnify Jesus in this process. And that's kind of where you've woke up. So personally, there's one more part of this. Your cell phone is represented in the dream as a symbol that this nefarious AI demonic presence is spewing the plans. But for you personally, what I'm getting is that your phone can be, I would pray into if your phone can be a negative influence on your life and take you into a dark place personally. Now, as a bigger picture, as this dream would have an implication for a wider audience, that symbol is kind of revealing the plans. But I do see that there's 2 messages, 2 audiences. The primary message is for you. There's a secondary message that the Lord's kind of revealing the plans of everyone else. Does any of that resonate with you, Kayla?
Yeah, I think, definitely the first part of what you were saying was just, bringing me into a place of also like having fun, but, also, God using me to revealing those, those plans of the enemy and to intercede for others as well. That is something that I feel like, God is definitely doing simultaneously right now.
The exact word that I heard for your phone was time suck. So that's the exact word that I heard, time suck. Like as a drain, it's just sucking your time away from where it needs to be. So that's the exact phrase that I heard when you were telling that, as it applies to you.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then
well, can I add to that too? Because it's interesting, while you're looking at your phone and everything, then you see this, it's like a strainer, you said, and there's all this vile green stuff coming out. So it's almost like the Lord is telling you to strain to be more discerning about what you are watching or looking at, or what you're listening to, that sort of thing too, because you can see it, but I think he wants you to discern perhaps a little bit more, even what you're hearing and seeing.
Yeah. And that's what I feel like God just kind of been bringing us through a season of that, where we've been he's given me a heightened sense of discernment to kind of even distinguish even more so, like, okay, what's of him, what's of not, even if they almost look identical, and
right.
Just to see like, okay, yeah, that looks innocent, but we're not doing that right now.
Yeah.
We're not
Yeah.
It's a good dream. And if you will, when you send it in, if you'll just put in the notes, Cody asked me to send this in because I do think it has a much bigger application that I'd like to dive into with some significant time.
Right.
And they put the email address in the chat. So we
Okay.
appreciate you calling in, Kayla. Thank you so much for your time. We're going to go to Julie next.
Bye.
And Julie, where'd Julie go? Uh-oh, Julie disappeared. Uh-oh, Julie, you fell off. So it looks like, and I hope I don't say her name wrong, Mary Susan. We're going to go to Mary. Wait, was Julie? Yeah, Julie gone? Oh, Julie left. Okay, Mary Susan. And then we've got Linda and Glenn and Stacy. So we're going to go to Mary Susan. Hey, did I say it right, Mary Susan?
You did, Mary Susan.
Oh, right on.
So I've got just a short dream that I had just recently. I was at some sort of a dinner banquet type thing. There were people up on a stage, and then, lots of tables in the room, round tables. And I was sitting at one of the tables. My mom was with me, and I think my husband was with me. And of all things, I am showing my mom how I have a little bit of stubble on my legs where, I didn't shave the night before. And what I'm realizing is that the people up on the stage, have noticed my stubble, and sitting right, looking at my own leg, you can barely see it. So I'm thinking this is really weird that they can see it. Well, my mom pulls her leg out and shows me that she's got stubble too. And hers is longer stubble than mine, but yet nobody notices hers. And that seemed to be the end of the dream. And what's weird, I was telling my mom about, of course, and she's redhead. So she's my hair would be lighter than yours. That's why nobody would see mine. And I was like, no, I was looking at your leg. I was seeing black hair, I could see the stubble. So, and then another thing to add to it, just yesterday, so this is kind of different, but my husband does triathlons, so biking, running, and swimming. And so before a significant race, okay, I'm on this. Sorry. So he before a race will shave his legs, just whatever, go through the water faster, whatever. So I looked at his legs yesterday and I noticed the stubble where his hair's growing back. And I was like, oh, look, you got hair coming back in. And it looked like how my mom's hair looked in that dream. It was at that same stage that hers was in. I, just brought the dream back to me. So that was it.
Well, that's a really cool dream. Can you talk about the very beginning? So you were somewhere and there was a stage and people on the stage. What was that event?
Yeah, it was just it was some kind of banquet, or I don't know if they were teaching us something, or it didn't feel it felt more like judgmental type people were up there. I didn't actually see them, but I knew they were up there and they could see me at my seat with my barely visible stubble.
Right. Just to clarify, so you're at some kind of is it a white dinner table, you're sitting at tables, or you're sitting in chairs and in the audience?
Yeah, sitting at round tables.
Right, at round tables. And they're putting on some kind of a show, but instead of them putting on some kind of a show, they're judging the audience.
Yeah, seemed to be.
Yeah, right on. Well, that's super interesting.
But I'm sorry, but you're not on the stage. You're
no, I'm not
below.
on the stage.
You're below where they're at. So there's definitely they're trying to be above you is kind of what I heard. But
yeah.
What were you going to say, Cody?
No, go ahead. Just run with it, Janet.
Oh, I was just, I saw this stage, I heard before you even said judgmental people, I heard exactly that. So there's this stage of judgmental people sitting up higher than you, and they're almost looking down upon you. And you're sitting there with your family. So it could be, with your husband and your mom. So it could also be, even that you feel like they're looking down on your entire family for some reason. And then they notice your stubble. So they're basically noticing, or bringing to everyone's attention. Did they actually notice it, or you just felt like they noticed it?
Yeah, I was just aware that they noticed it.
Mm-hmm. So
and felt like, you know, the shame or whatever, for embarrassment from it, you know.
Right. So it's almost like a group of people who, although they don't say anything, you feel like they're trying to make you feel like lowly. Or I specifically heard like they're trying to point out every little sin in your life, like every little thing, you know, and then your mom, you know, has long stubble too, and so, and then what did you say about, so you could see it but they couldn't? Is that what you said?
For the mom.
For the
yeah,
mom.
it was I got the sense that hers was worse than mine. It really stood out, but yet they didn't seem to notice hers.
Right. So it's almost like you felt like you were more under the microscope than she was for some reason. You just feel like there's, you know, and maybe it's a group of people in your life that you feel are very judgmental and looking down on you and your family for some reason. So that's basically what I heard. I don't know if you have anything to add to that, Cody, or if you heard something a little different.
Yeah, so that's really good. Thanks for that, Janet. So yeah, so the people that should be performing, the people that should be leading or whatever their role is on the stage, instead of doing what they're doing, they're turning and they're judging you, right? And so in the context of, as it relates to your husband is in peak performance when he's shaved for the triathlon, and so he's already performed. You're post performance, and yet the people that are performing now that should have their legs shaved are judging you, and they're the ones that need to be judged, right? And so they've turned the mic. So the situation. So there may be some situation where the people that, and I don't want to use this word because it's not the right word, but because you use the word judging, the people that should be judged are turning and judging you. Now, maybe it should be leading. So maybe the people that are leading or the people that are above you, how about that? Or the people, or because of the scenario, the people who are on stage who should be doing whatever they're doing, judging or performing, are turning instead of doing what they should be doing, and they're focusing on you. But yet in the scenario you've applied, your post-performance, you've already done it. They should be doing it. So it may even be some scenario that you were involved in or a role that you had, and now somebody else is in that position and they're judging you, and your mom can get away with it. So your mother is getting away with something that you now are not able to get away with, right? Mm-hmm. And so your mom got away with it, and it's not even, you know, don't stumble on stage while looking at it. So I think the Lord's just telling you that he's giving you a little bit of a warning about a situation with some judgy people. What does this one say? And shaving our legs is a tradition. It's not a requirement of judge. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a standard of beauty, but I don't know if it's a standard of beauty here, because the example is with her husband's performance legs. I think it's performance related. So because your husband's triathlon example sparked the dream with you, it's based on your performance. So there's going to be something, it's going to be some performance where you are performing. I don't know if you're working or not working or related with the school board. It's probably some kind of school thing. I don't know why I feel like that, but it's probably some kind of a situation where you were doing something and you're past that performance stage. People are doing it now, and they're going to judge you and hold you to a standard that even your mother, it wouldn't be. It could be Christian. It could be a religious spirit. I mean, it could for sure be a religious spirit. But anyway, does any of that resonate?
So yeah, it does. It actually brings something that I've been personally struggling with, that I actually did see my mom do that. And when I was young, it was spending time with the Lord. It was spending time with the Lord, sitting on her bed. You know, she was a single mother, taking care of 3 kids, and she depended on the Lord completely. And so I see myself now spending that time on my bed and feeling more scrutinized for it. And so, yeah, that what you said completely, that like it was, she got away with it. It was okay, you know, and everything worked out fine. But it's a little bit different in my scenario. And so like God just pointing that out. So, wow.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Thanks for sharing. We love having you, and we hope to hear from you again soon. So thank you, Mary Susan. All right. So we've got Linda and Glenn and Stacy. So hopefully Stacy's camera is working, but we're going to go to Linda next. All right. Let's get Linda in here. All right. Hey, Linda, you're muted. You're going to have to unmute. Oh, I don't know. There it goes. It's okay. There it is. Hey, Linda.
Hey, can you hear me?
We can. Welcome.
Okay, awesome. Thank you all for taking our dreams tonight.
Sure.
Appreciate it. Okay, this one's really short and a little bit weird. So I am sitting in a laundromat and I'm holding a baby. I do not have any clothes on, but I'm not exposed because I'm covered by the baby. A man comes in and sits down beside me and says, "Why are you here? You don't have any dirty laundry." And I answer him, "Well, I can't go because I don't have any clothes." And he says, "Your clothes are up there." And he points to some dryers. They're very tall and they're on the left side of me. And he said, "Your clothes are up there." And I look up and there's a yellow cape. And for a second, I realize if I stand up, my backside's going to be exposed. But I make the decision that I'm going to stand up and reach for the cape, and the dream ends.
What a cool dream. Yeah, that's a really cool. Love it. Can't remember where we are, Janet. Is it my turn to go first, or is it your turn?
I don't remember either. So either way, go ahead.
Okay, rock and roll. So what a cool dream, Linda. I love this dream. So you're in a laundromat. That's where people go to get rid of their dirty laundry, right? Or to clean their dirty laundry. You're holding a baby. And I do get a sense that the baby here is something new. You don't have any clothes on. And many times prophets would prophesy with no clothes on. Many times people, when they're in the shower, they actually have some great time with the Lord because they're naked before the Lord. Which we all are anyway. Sorry, the Holy Spirit. The baby is covering you, right? And then a man shows up, says, "Why are you here? You don't have any dirty clothes, but you can't go anywhere because you don't have your clothes." He says, "Your clothes are up there," and then you've got this yellow cape, and so I was getting superhero. You've got this kind of like, you got a new, so the baby that's covering you is something new. And it's kind of, I heard superhero. I know people in the comments heard something else, but to get the new so you're going to feel a bit exposed. You're going to, and you might show your backside as you go in for this, what the Lord has this new thing for you. So I do see this as a super positive dream. I did get yellow as a real, I know sometimes yellow could be negative, but I got sunshine positive, something positive for this. So the Lord has something new for you. It's a baby cape. I did hear superhero. He's got a good calling for you, but it's going to feel uncomfortable and you're going to feel exposed when you go and get it on. So that's what I got. Janet, what do you got?
I basically got the same thing. One thing about the yellow cape, it's almost like it's two-sided. It's a two-sided thing. Like on one side is God's glory covering you, but then I still feel like there's a little bit of element of fear on your part. Because I kept hearing like yellow as in maybe it's the color of a coward. And I'm not saying you're a coward. I'm not saying that, but just a little bit of fear. So, and I think the Lord is trying to tell you, don't be afraid. I've got you covered. I mean, I want you to be like a superhero. Like, just get rid of the fear and just let you fly. Let me show you how to fly, that sort of thing. So that's the only thing I can really add to what Cody said.
Awesome.
Well, that was awesome. Does any of that resonate with you, Linda?
Yes, I do feel like there's a calling involved. And one thing, when the man sat down and said, you don't have any dirty laundry, I said to the Holy Spirit, well, everybody's got dirty laundry.
Yeah.
And he said to me, you don't have any agenda, but the Lord's agenda.
Yeah.
So that was very encouraging to me.
Well,
But the yellow cape, I just was hung up on the yellow cape. Why is it yellow? But superhero sounds great. I'll take it.
and don't be afraid. Don't be afraid.
Yeah, you were born to fly, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Go. All right. Well, thank you, Linda. We're going to let you go. All right. So we're at the halfway mark, and because we're at the halfway mark, many of you come on and talk about your dreams, but we do have a new sim class starting in the fall, and I want to run a promo for that, and then we're going to go to Glenn, and then we have Stacy, and then after that we have an open back end, so we probably would have some more time for other people. So I'm going to run the sim fall promo, and then we'll get to Glenn.
We live in a world with much confusion, propaganda, and outright lies. It's hard to know what's real, what's false, and what's really going on. Do you have even one source that you can trust? And I mean really trust. Can you imagine leading a state or an army or a nation in this environment? What if you heard from God every day about your life, your purpose, and your future, and you understood with clarity what to do? Imagine hearing so clearly that He even trusted you with intelligence to advise leaders desperate for answers. Hi, I'm John Redenbo, and I have the honor of leading the Spiritual Intelligence Mentorship, an in-depth program where a team of people work with you in a highly structured atmosphere to teach you how to decode the encrypted language of God through dreams. If you're up for the challenge, I invite you to apply today. Register at spiritualintel.com.
All right. We'd love to have you come be a part of the Spiritual Intelligence Mentorship. And we have some dreams courses if you're not quite ready for SIM. But we have Glenn next. Glenn, welcome. Let's get him into the stream. Hey, Glenn.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Oh, great. Okay. Thank you for doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on.
I've taken John Paul Jackson courses, and we've only come so far. We can't seem to rise above the level of interpretation that we're at now. We're just kind of stuck. So I had this dream on July 6th, and we don't know what it means.
Rock and roll. We'd love to hear it.
Okay, so I had some pieces of aluminum. I'm going to say less than 10. I can't remember the number. They were short, and they were in the shape of square posts. I had them for sale, and there was a guy that had come to look at them. In the meantime, there was a guy standing on my left, a younger man. I don't know who he was. So I said to the man that was interested in the aluminum posts, I don't think my pieces are really going to do you any good. And what I was thinking was they're too short. And then the scene changed. And end of that. So the next thing was, I'm not exactly sure what with drumming, but I was a drummer in the church at one time, and I quit because I felt like God was leading me into other things. So now back to the dream. Something happened with drumming in my room. I don't remember what it was, but the room was upstairs. And then I went downstairs to a lobby in like a college building where they had classrooms. And I met a professor that I somewhat kind of liked the guy. And he seemed to care about me and he wanted to help me. But at the same time, I felt like you don't understand me. But I really wanted to try with him, so I trusted him with my birth date, which I don't give out to just anybody. And I was trying to tell him by that, hey, I trust you, I'm trying to work with you. But at the same time, I had to tell him, but you don't understand me. So then we both walk to the door of the building, and I exit and leave, and that's the end of that part. Okay, the next one, there's two more. They're both short. Now I'm walking. It's kind of a continuation. It's like I'm walking across the campus. Be determined. One foot directly in front of the other, purposefully walking a straight line, going as fast as I can go. But I'm not sure where my dorm location is. And I don't know the name of it either. So I felt lost. And as I'm walking, I walk through a restaurant kitchen. It's like it's a Oriental restaurant. And somehow I walk straight into the kitchen. And as soon as I'm in there, I'm like, oh, I shouldn't be here. But I didn't want to turn around and go back out. I wanted to keep going straight. And somehow I was able to do that, go right out the other end of the building and keep on going. That's the end of that part. The last part, it's very short. I realize at this point, I don't know where my dormitory is. I don't know the name of it. I don't have my cell phone. There's people around me. It's daylight, but I'm feeling very lost in a crowd of people. And whatever if I were to talk to somebody, try to tell somebody, my story isn't going to really make sense to them. So therefore, I didn't feel like I could talk to anybody really, so I didn't. That's the end of the dream.
That's pretty interesting. So there, just to clarify, so you had pieces of aluminum less than 10, and they were like square posts?
Yeah, probably each one was 6 or 7 or 8 inches long.
And were they like fence posts, or what kind of posts?
I don't know if you've ever seen smaller towns have stop signs that they drive into the ground. But now they have this new thing where if they put this casing into the ground vertically, it's like a channel for sliding the post of the stop sign in.
Right.
It's a universal channel. So
Right.
These were like a universal channel, 2.5 inches by 2.5 inches.
And so it's the channel that something else would slide into?
Yes.
Okay. And then you're having them, and they're aluminum. Are they normally made of aluminum?
They're probably normally steel.
Yeah. And then you're selling them, and some man is there, and there's someone younger there, but you're telling them that you're not sure they'll work. They're too short.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the next scene is you're drumming. And you're something about drumming. You had a position once in church about drumming, but now there's something drumming upstairs, and then you find someone in college, a professor, to help you, but he doesn't understand you, and you trusted him with some sensitive information, which was your birthday in here, but you don't really feel like he understands you, so you exit, right?
Right.
Now, were you like in a house, but you were hearing drumming upstairs?
That's a hard one because this was now like 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I don't remember that detail. I just remember.
That's okay. You'll remember what God wants you to do. So you just remember the drumming. And at one time you drummed in a church, right?
Yeah, I got 2 sets of drums sitting downstairs in real life, and they're for sale, but I don't have any buyers.
Right. But one time you were a drummer. You don't do it anymore?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. And then again, and you're at a and then that's kind of at a place of learning. And again, you're kind of on campus, and you're trying to walk this straight and narrow, but you're trying to go fast, but and you're not sure where your dormitory is. You kind of feel lost, and you end up in some restaurant in an Oriental kitchen, but you don't want to go back the way that you came. You shouldn't be there, but you keep on going.
Yes.
Right. And then you're again in some kind of, you don't know where your dormitory, you don't have any cell phone, you can't really tell your story because you don't think people will make sense. So you don't really talk to anyone about it. And then that's kind of the end of the dream.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think what the Lord's saying here through these series of dreams is the Lord wants you to know that He knows your birth date. And that, excuse me, because the Holy Spirit's just all over me tonight. And so the Lord wants you to know that He sees you and He understands you, and it's not an accident. So in these scenes, all of these are talking about a mindset or something where you're feeling deficient, or you're not good enough, your posts aren't good enough, you're feeling, and this is not saying that this is it. This is talking about a feeling of not measuring up, if you will, right?
Yes.
So 10 can be judgment, can be the 10 commandments. So this could be a negative mindset that you're having about yourself, where you're feeling like you don't measure up. And the Lord's telling you that he sees you and you're not an accident. So each of these scenarios is dealing with a time, like the drumming time. I don't know what happened where you used to drum or what happened there, but the Lord wants you to know that He sees you and it's not an accident. You're walking through campus again, and you're trying to go straight and narrow, but you're not sure where you are. You feel lost. And then kitchens are a place where things are prepared. And then, so this is all talking about a sense of you being lost. So I see what the Lord's trying to tell you is in these series of dreams is that He sees you, that you're dealing with a sense of kind of feeling like you don't measure up and you're under a negative or judgmental spirit. And it might even be a mindset that is one that feels like you are imposing it upon yourself or being attacked with. But I think the overall positive message here is that the Lord sees you. He created you specifically with the birth date that He gave you. You're not an accident. You have a purpose, even if you feel like you don't know where your path is. That's my general sense. Let me see if Janet is getting anything. So it's an encouraging dream to me, spoken through negative mindset that the Lord is addressing to you, wanting you to be aware of them so that they can be corrected. Janet, are you getting anything?
I was kind of hearing the same thing you were hearing too. And I think someone put it in the chat too. I kept hearing, especially for that beginning part, I kept hearing like you're selling yourself short. So that's kind of a mindset. You're just selling yourself short. And then even when you go to the professor, who I kind of saw that as you were coming before the Lord, or your teacher, your rabbi, if you will, and and you're telling him you don't understand me. You don't understand me, and you're willing to give him your birthday, which goes back to. So you're willing to give him a small part of you, but your birthday is just the beginning, So I kept hearing half-heartedness, like you're not, and I don't mean this in a critical way, but just the almost like the feeling of I'm not willing to give you my heart completely because I don't even believe that I'm worthy. I'm selling myself short. And therefore, because of that mindset, you just feel a little lost. And then the drumming, I kept hearing, like, that's the Lord's drum call. He's trying to, like your calling, your drum call, He's trying to get your attention upstairs which is, also like in the heavenlies at a different level. He wants to call you to a higher level, but you keep going down to the basement. So I don't know if there's something in your past that you're still like struggling with, or you need to wrestle with God over that, or that I don't know for sure, but it just seems like there's something holding you back.
Well, so a question. It's resonating, although I don't know what's holding me back. The mindset is right, although I don't see it clearly. I think that's right. But the question is about the drumming. It's been a question for years. I went after it when I was young, and I quit. I dropped out of college. I was a music major, dropped out after 2 good semesters, but it was a lot of pressure. I couldn't hack it. So when I went home, I quit, and then got a job, went to work, got some money, eventually found a friend that played some music, bought another set of drums, played for a couple of years, sold them. And then I went back the third time because the church didn't have a drummer and the pastor wanted to do it. So nobody even knew I was a musician. And I went back. And so now, because of the intimacy thing, God's really made it clear to me. He wants intimacy, and I'm giving him everything I know how to give. I'm pursuing him with everything I've got. But to me, it seems like, no, the drumming is over. What God wants is the intimacy in the upper room. There may have been a time for that, but I'm 66. It's a little late now for that. So,
can I interrupt you, Glenn? Will you let me interrupt you? I don't see in this dream, and unless you have other ones, but I don't see in this dream where the drumming is over. I see where you tell the professor that he doesn't understand you, but I don't see, if you're basing it on this dream, I don't see in this dream where the Lord is telling you the drumming is over. Now, it may not look the way, and maybe that's the mindset. Maybe it's not going to look the way that you think it looks, but my encouragement for you would be for you to pray to the Lord and ask him, Lord, am I to be worshiping you with drumming? Because the Lord put the desire in your heart originally. So maybe because it didn't work out the way that you thought it would, you threw in the towel. And I may be wrong here, but the Lord, that doesn't mean it's not still a calling on your life. Now, you just need to take that to the Lord, and you need to ask the Lord if you should be worshiping the Lord through your drumming, and see what that would be. My actionable intelligence for you would be to ask the Lord about what his call on your life looks like through drumming.
Actually, I have been asking him that.
Okay, great. And is this the dream you got?
Well, I get so many dreams. I mean, I can't even tell you what we did today, but we were part of a team, a strategic team today. And so there's all of that now that didn't exist before. And we expect that's going to be a game changer maybe for hundreds of other people. If it's effective, it's going to change the lives of hundreds of other people. So there's another path that's opened up.
Okay. Well, you may have to come back and we may have to talk more about this when you're getting more dreams on it. But I would not, based on this dream, in any way say that drumming's behind you. But
this is just a question. Have you ever thought about teaching others how to drum? Because there's, I keep hearing that. I mean, it's just a question, maybe something to pray about. Maybe it's not you particularly drumming, but showing others how to drum, or how
Yes, I'm teacher gifted. I know that, and I can teach stuff, but and I've thought about it, but the reason I didn't move into it is because these other things were on the horizon that to me looked like the Lord was saying, I'm taking you another direction because of your intimacy level has come up now. So now you can handle this other stuff. So I thought, well, then I don't have time to. It takes hours and hours and hours of practice to be a decent drummer. And so I just went, I can't do both. I can't do all this.
Well,
So something's got to go.
Let me interrupt you. So John Redenbo has just texted me, and he said drumming is not behind you. And this dream is about you as a leader. So we may just need to table it for now, but I wouldn't let this dream. Oh, here it goes. Yeah, there it goes. It's an allegory for. Yeah, so he's also saying you're called to leadership, and so the drumming's not behind you. But I don't know if you can see the comments, but John's commenting now. So
no, I can't.
So you may need to come back and just replay it. But yeah, he's definitely saying there's a calling on your life. There is calling for leadership, and so I would encourage you to lean into that and pray about it.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so we appreciate you coming on here, and it does sound like some of this is resonating with you. But thanks, Glenn. We got a couple more people in the back that we're going to try to get to before the time's over.
Thank you.
But thank you for your time.
Thanks, Glenn.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right. I think that we had Stacy next, and then I see that Julie made it back. I think it's the same Julie, but we're going to go to Stacy because Julie had dropped off for a while. Oh, wait, we even have some more people in the back. Oh, yeah. So we're going to kind of zoom. We've got Julie after Stacy, and then Irene, and then one more back there. So we'll get to Stacy next. Here we go, Stacy. Hey, thanks for waiting, Stacy. You're muted. You'll have to unmute. Oh, she may be frozen. Oh, there she is.
Always forget to unmute myself. I can't decide which one I want to do. So maybe y'all want the woman at the stoplight and the wind picking me up, or Todd White? Hi, John.
Did you say Todd White?
I'll let you pick because you're going to go
Todd
first,
White.
Janet.
Oh, did you say Todd White as in like a person?
Yes.
Like the pastor Todd White, the evangelist pastor Todd White?
Lifestyle Christianity, Todd White. Evangelist, yes.
Well, yeah.
Jed Dotson.
Well, I have to admit, I don't know who Todd White is. So, I mean, it's whatever you want to do.
Do the other one. Don't do the one with Todd White. I agree. Do the other one, Janet. You did go first.
Okay.
All right. In the dream, we were on a street. I was passing. I don't know if I was in I drive a pickup, so I don't know if I was in a pickup or what, but it seemed like I was a little bit higher. When I looked over to my left, I saw a woman waiting at a stoplight, in her car, and as I was passing, she had brown hair. As I was passing by, she was looking up, like towards the sky through her windshield, and she leaned up and looked, and then she just started worshiping. I was going the opposite direction, and I'm sorry, I have to read it because it's been a while. This one was from April of last year, but let's see. She closed her eyes and she started worshiping the Lord. Then the next part of the dream, I was walking with a couple of other women, maybe a group, through what looked like an apartment complex. There was large, tall buildings all around. We were walking on the sidewalks, and the wind started to blow, and it was getting stronger and stronger, to the point that it was really hard to stand up. We turned towards the wind and started getting excited about it. And as I was facing the wind, I laid flat face down on the ground, but the wind kept me from touching the ground, and started lifting my body up higher. I don't know if I got startled or I don't know what was happening, but I started like swinging my feet, almost like I was trying to stand up straight, because it was lifting me, just kept lifting me up really high. The next part of the dream, I was in my bedroom, and I have 3 big, huge windows in our bedroom that looks out into our backyard. I looked out of the window and noticed a huge hole, probably about 10 feet wide, maybe 5 feet deep, 4 or 5 feet deep. And I have my son's 2 black German shepherds since his accident. It was too much for his wife, so I have them. And I lost my spot. They were playing near the hole, and I thought, sheesh, they really dug a big one this time, because they're always digging holes. And Buren, which means bear, was my son's dog, was standing off to the left side of it, and Ronan, my son's wife's dog, was standing right in front of it, like directly across from me, facing me. And he has this red ball that he loves to play fetch with, and it was sitting in front of him when he hit the ball somehow, and it rolled off into the hole. And the next thing I know, he's in the hole, and he's just standing there, and he's looking side to side like, whoa, and he didn't know how he was going to get out. And I thought, oh, how is he going to get out of there now? And that was the end of the dream.
Thanks for sharing. It looks like a hard dream. Now, is your son still alive?
No.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So I've got a lot on this one, but so go ahead, Janet, if you're ready.
Well, this is just really very, very general at this point. You said you were sitting in a pickup, like a higher pickup.
I don't know
Okay.
if it was. I drive a pickup, but I don't know what I was in.
But you just felt like you were higher off the ground.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Because I saw that, and then the second part of your dream is kind of speaking about something very similar as far as, the Lord, like you're in the second part of the dream, you're feeling this fresh, like the wind of the Holy Spirit. You're really feeling that Spirit, and the Lord is lifting you up off of the ground, literally, off of the ground. So, in that part, then you started swinging your feet. And I think you even said like you were trying to stand on your own 2 feet. And that's what I heard. It's like, it was almost, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I'm trying to plug my charger in because it's, of course.
Okay. Because so like you said, you started swinging your feet. So I kept hearing you're trying to stand on your own 2 feet, and he's lifting you up, and it's almost like don't panic, because you start to panic, and that's that's the impression I got anyway. And then you started to try to do it on your own strength rather than relying on his strength. So then at the beginning, then you're kind of also in he's putting you in a higher place in the pickup. And you see a woman at a stoplight. So there's a woman who has stopped for some reason. And she's looking up through the window, and worshiping God. And it's almost like that. How do I say this exactly? Like that was not inspiring, but that just gave you great encouragement, and almost prompted you to be more open to the spirit yourself. Like you were almost seeing it as such a positive thing that, in the second part of the dream, that's when you feel the wind and you feel the spirit. So that's kind of what I heard in general for the first two parts. The last part for the German Shepherds, because that one was your son's dog. It's almost as if, oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, they were actually both his, but
Both his.
One was his emotional support dog. They're brothers, and so both him and his wife got one. So technically, one of them was his emotional support dog because of the PTSD, but the other one was his wife. But
okay, because I just heard for that, shepherds are known for, a shepherd dog wants to protect. It's almost like the Lord is wanting to protect you. He's putting kind of the good shepherd. I kept hearing the good shepherd in that, the whole idea of the dogs and the good shepherd and shepherding. He wants to protect you. He wants to do all that a shepherd would do. The whole, I think that part I'm not super clear on. So I don't know if Cody, if you can kind of go from there.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I shut my camera off trying to jump in here. Okay, so
that's okay.
I do have one quick question for you. You don't need to answer this, Stacy. So if this is a hard question and I'm going to ask you, you don't answer it, we'll just go without it. How did your son die?
he was in a motorcycle accident.
Okay, so you have this thing in your past, okay, and this has been a hard thing for you, and it's been a really difficult thing for you, and similar to what Janet was getting was guarding you. So you've been in this really hard place, but it's in your past, and the Lord is actually calling you into worship, right? And so someone else going another direction who's in a really worshipful place is probably not the place that you've been in, but that's where the Lord's taking you, and he's calling you to that place. And it's actually going to he's going to take you from the negativeness of that, your son's death, and he's going to elevate you higher. That's his desire. Now, the girl who's worshiping is going a different direction than you are when you see her. So the Lord's kind of calling you into that direction, and it's going to be kind of scary for you. And you're going to kind of feel like you need to kick your feet, but the Lord is actually going to be trying to lift you up and call you into a higher place, a place of work, and you're going to get there through worship. But the Lord is actually telling you what's in your past, because what he wants to be able to do is to be able to, let's say, heal that. That's a right way to say that, but to deal with that. Does any of that resonate with you?
Yeah, but I think I don't know, maybe I'm not understanding right the worship part. Because as hard as it was that time after my son's accident, I was in constant prayer and constant worship. That's what
she was going a different direction, right? So she was going a different direction. Wasn't she going a different direction than you were going?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So it doesn't mean that you were going, that you didn't have any of that in your life, but she was overly worshiping with her hands raised, right? Like it kind of felt like a super worshipful for experience. So in that scene, the two main points that I got was she was going in a different direction than you were, which means that you were dealing with this heaviness and this grief. Doesn't mean that you weren't able to worship. It doesn't mean that you weren't thankful, able to praise the Lord, but the Lord was trying to take you to that place. The second scene about laying flat is being prostrate before the Lord. It's dealing humbly before the Lord, dealing with the different, and being literally by the Holy Spirit, by the breath of God, by the Holy Spirit, being lifted up and being lifted up, right? And it's going to feel scary. It's going to be, and you're going to fight it. You're going to fight it. But the Lord's calling you out of that place in your past where your son's dog is just sitting in the grave with the ball. Like, where's my master? So the Lord is saying he sees you. and he's calling you out of that place. It doesn't mean that you're not worshiping. It doesn't mean, and okay, I didn't want to say this, but what I actually heard is, and don't take this the wrong way, but the Lord wants to cut the pain off. He wants to deal with it, and he wants to cut that off and lift you higher.
Yeah, that kind of, I keep hearing for like the holes in the backyard. They're like dark places, like if you were to fall into I don't want to say pits because that gets.
I definitely got it was a grave pit. I for sure got it. It was your son's grave, and so that's where the Lord was taking you out of. And so that's kind of what the Lord's saying is, I see you. I see the pain that's in your past, but he's calling you up. He's calling you, and you're going to fight it a little bit, but he's calling you out of that through the breath of the Lord, and worship is going to be that tool that helps do that.
Yes. And the Lord is with you even in, I keep hearing like the dark valleys or I keep thinking of the Psalms, though I walk through the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. And then the Lord reassures, like, I am with you always, even in these times that are really hard, times of grieving. I'm there. So there's the German Shepherd down in the hole. And it's like he's saying, I'm here, even in the dark places, even in the grieving and the dark. Do you know what I'm trying to say? The valleys of life, I guess maybe is a better way of saying it. I'm here. That's what I keep hearing.
Does that resonate? Does that make better sense now, Stacy?
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Well, we appreciate you. Thank you for sharing that dream, and the Lord sees you and his heart's with you. So we're going to move on to Julie. Thank you, Stacy. All right, Julie, here we go. And Irene's next if we get time. Hey, Julie, thanks for coming back. We lost you earlier, but it looks like you're back.
Good evening. Hi. So I had a text from a friend today that had a dream last night, and so I'm just going to read it to you how she sent it to me.
Okay.
It said, your daughter, so my daughter, was our paper delivery person, and I forgot to pay her for the week $200. So you, meaning me, brought her by Friday at 9 p.m. to collect. She said that this week she'd like her tip to be a DVD of The Sound of Freedom. And my friend said, oh, honey, I'm so sorry, but I don't have a copy of that yet. My daughter said she really wanted to take it home and watch it that night. She was urgently wanting the movie because she wanted to watch it specifically that night. So she gave my daughter $20 to go buy it. She was so excited that she forgot her $200. And I spent the rest of the night trying to find her to pay her. So my friend spent the rest of the night trying to find her to pay her. So that's the end of the dream. My friend, just as a side note, has never met my daughter. It's an old friend of mine. She lives hours away. I haven't seen her. I see at our class reunions. But so that's the dream.
All right, let me recap it really quick. So the dream is that they forgot to pay your daughter, and she owed her $200. She brought her by to pay it, and she says, I want my tip to be the DVD of The Sound of Freedom, because she wanted to watch it that night. And then she said, I don't have it. Here's $20 to go get it. And then she forgot to pay her the $200. Then she spent the rest of the time trying to pay her, right?
Yeah, my daughter was so excited she forgot about the $200.
Yeah, your daughter forgot about it. Yeah.
And then my friend spent the rest of the night trying to find my daughter to pay her.
Yeah. That's a really good dream. I think it's going to be really significant. I'm not getting anything for this dream. And so I wonder if Jen is getting anything for this dream. And so unfortunately, let me just sit here for a second and see if Jen has anything, because I don't have anything on the stream so far.
So initially she owed $200. Is that correct?
She owed my daughter $200 for the newspaper.
Okay. But she forgets to pay her, but instead she asks for a tip.
She said this week that she would like her tip to be a DVD of The Sound of Freedom
Okay, and then she gives her $20
to go buy it.
buy it.
And
I'm struggling too. I feel like there's huge significance in the money, the monetary values, but I just can't quite. I'm not hearing exactly what it is.
So let me just tell you what's standing out. Unfortunately, I'm not getting anything for this stream, so I'm not going to be able to decode it. But what I can tell you is what stands out. The most important thing that here's really something significant. Really significant is The Sound of Freedom. Sound of Freedom is about human trafficking, right? And so I think that that's going to be super relevant to this stream is The Sound of Freedom and human trafficking. The number $20. The other part of that is that nobody really has DVD players anymore. Sure, they do. Redbox is there, but for the most part, everybody streams. So for your daughter to want to go get something from a time of DVDs, it seems like it's something that's relating to a past event. So one of the things that I might ask your daughter about, if she's had, and it doesn't mean anything negative's happened to her, but she might have had some kind of an experience with human trafficking from a past season in her life where she's seen it or some kind of an experience with it. So because of the DVDs are kind of older technology, I would ask your daughter that question. Hey, our friend had this interesting dream. It has human trafficking in it. Do you have any experience or any kind of calling in your past? How old's your daughter?
15.
Okay, so she's pretty young, and it just may be a symbol of girls that are 15 years old. Okay, so it may not have anything to do with your daughter, but I would ask her the question anyway. So the things that stand out: the DVD, the 20, and the 200. Those are the numbers I would research and pray about, because your daughter forgets to be. It's so important. I mean, obviously, you wouldn't give up the 200 for the $20, right? That's 10%. But in this case, if she would have got the 200, she could have went and bought 10 of these DVDs. But she forgot about the money and she got the tip to get the movie. So for sure, Sound of Freedom, human trafficking, DVD, 2200. Those are the things that stand out. Unfortunately, the Lord's not given me anything on that. So I'm not going to be able to decode. It doesn't sound like Janet has anything on that. I'm sorry we couldn't be. Do you have anything?
Yeah. Well, the only thing also interesting is that she's delivering papers. So it seems like there's like this whole idea of
I heard something like that.
The news is being delivered, or it has, and getting a paper is kind of an old-fashioned thing too. I mean, most people go online, but not all, but most people do. So it's almost like there's this throwback to the news of the past is coming forward. That sort of thing. Like this is going to be exposed. Things from the past are going to be exposed. It was exposed in this movie, but I think it means much more than that. Like it's going to be exposed, and the cost. So you go from a $20 DVD, and the cost is actually $200. So like the cost is much higher than just paying for a DVD, which is just kind of one story of many, many, many stories that are probably out there. So there's that idea of like something much bigger is going to be exposed, like tenfold or. Okay, I'm not good at math. Okay, that would be tenfold. That would be tenfold. Yes, thank you very much. Anyway, so that's the idea that I keep hearing that.
That's a good word. I also heard that similar for that. So that it sounds like we've given you some things to pray into, Julie. Unfortunately, we weren't of more help on this one. Let's see what they say. Yeah, it definitely makes people forget about things that they think are important when they learn about human trafficking. Absolutely. So hopefully that was encouraging. I would ask your daughter about it. I would read the dream to her and ask her if she's had any experience with human trafficking.
We talked about it.
And what did she say? And what did she say?
No, I mean, it's something I'm aware of, but it's not anything.
It could just be a symbol of her age, 15-year-old girls. I mean, that's the reality is 15-year-old girls are human trafficked, and she could just be a symbol of the age of girls that's happening to. Well, we appreciate you coming on, Julie. We'd love to hear more from you next time. Cheers. All right, we're going to go to Irene. How much time do we have? We're going to go to we've got about 10 minutes, and we're going to go to Irene, and then we do have a hard cutoff. Hi, Irene.
Hi, how are you?
Excellent.
Good. So I had 2 dreams this weekend, consecutive nights. So the first one was I dreamt that I was with this boy that I was in school with when I was like between 6 and 12. And we were going to a shop where he wanted to buy like a raised bed, and it had with the soil, and he wanted to sow carrots in it. And he just bought the one level of the raised bed, and it had a bottom in it, and he wanted to fill it with the soil and sow the carrots in straight away. And so we did, and the carrots immediately started to germinate. Well, I knew that the owner of the shop was Muslim. And in a matter of seconds, I knew that they were hunting me down, and we had to hurry around. There was a slight little corner like this wide, so it wouldn't hide us in any way, shape, or form. But I told them we had to hide because they knew, because it was like they were hunting Christians. And so we stood around the corner, and I said, when they come around the corner to find us, you need to kiss me, so that they think we're just, normal people hanging around kissing, whatever, instead of actually being someone that they're looking for. So it was, yeah. So that was kind of the when I so anyway, we stood quite closely together, and he just stood cheek to cheek, and then the owners of the shop came around the corner, and then I woke up. So that was the first dream. And then the second one was that I dreamt that there was a bachelorette party for me, but it was the whole family was together in a hotel where I don't see the groom. I don't know any of his family that are there, but my family is staying in one kind of apartment in the hotel. One of the girls in my husband-to-be's family starts shouting at me, saying we got the better place to stay at the hotel because the owners had just let us have it for free. And there was a whole lot of, I remember looking her up on Facebook because I didn't quite know who she was as I was explaining it to someone in my family. And then I ended up meeting her again as I was going down to dinner, and we're in the elevator, and she says, "Oh, and I have a prophetic word for you. Your name is Sandra." And then I woke up.
Those are interesting. Did you look up what Sandra means?
Yes.
Okay, tell me.
I was going to ask the same thing.
So tell me, what does Sandra mean? So I don't have to look it up.
So it means protector of humanity.
Protector of humanity.
Okay. Well, what a cool dream. So the part of both of these are about a calling. The first one, I don't know why it's a boy that you were in school with when you were 6 to 12. But what's interesting is this idea of multiplication, bearing fruit, right? And it's even bearing fruit and putting the gospel for. Are you in America?
No, I'm in Norway.
Okay, so yeah, so this is an idea about replicating fruit, bearing fruit, replication of, obviously the gospel going forward, the seed going into the ground 1,000-fold in a dangerous environment, right? And so you're potentially doing this in under the cover. You're blending in, like you're all things to all people, though I think Paul said that. Pretending like you're even kissing so that you can go under the cover. And so this is about being hidden and being a witness for Christ, right? And a calling this on your life. And then the second one is being attacked by people in, this is obviously about the being married to Christ and this part of this calling of being a witness, but then being attacked by people that should be helping you, by fellow Christians, if you will. You're a bachelorette party in the hotel. You're getting ready to be married to Christ. You've got one place for your family, but yet the other people in the groom's family, which should be other Christians, they're attacking you, saying you got a better deal, right? You have more favor from the Lord. It shouldn't be that way. And so you're kind of, wait, what's going on here? And then your name means protector. So I do think that this is about a calling on your life for the gospel to go out. And then the Lord's telling you ahead of time that you're going to have an anointing and favor to do this in a hidden kind of a way, and that they're going to come under fire from fellow Christians who should be on your side, but yet they find you find them attacking you in some way, saying that you have more favor. But ultimately, the name, and your name's not really Sandra, right?
No, my name
it's
is Irene.
Irene. But you have this kind of protector anointing out, this evangelism protector anointing over your life. So that's kind of what I'm getting, Irene. Janet, what are you getting?
Well, I have a question. In the first part of the dream, are you 6 and 12 too, or just the boy?
No, we're like 42, you know, our age now. So we're our normal age, I was gonna say.
Okay, because I heard like, did you say 6 or 12?
Well, yes, I was in school with him. We were in the same class from the ages of 6 to 12.
Okay. Is it someone that you still are in contact with, or would that be someone from your past?
No, very, very much from my past. He lives in my village still, where I'm from. But yeah, I don't have normal contact with him at all.
I was just, the reason I was asking is, just like what Cody was saying, it's definitely, because I heard like it's almost like the beginning part is maybe part of your, perhaps what in your childhood, because you're going into the past to someone that you knew before. And I kept hearing the parable of like when the seed is sown, and yet when trouble comes along, it starts to germinate, but doesn't come to full fruition. It does and doesn't produce a lot of fruit because it doesn't come to full fruition. So I kept hearing that, maybe, as part of your growing up experience, your faith didn't come to full fruition because there was an element of fear, like people were against you. So you're kind of trying to blend in and not stand out, because there's, definitely people that want to hurt you, whether it's literally or, emotionally or whatever. So I kind of got that impression that, that was part of maybe your experience. And then you get to your bachelorette party. So now you're older, right? And you still have people in your lives. Like you have people saying that they almost, in a really bragging way that, well, we got the better apartment, we got the better, and you didn't, and that sort of thing. So, but at the end, the Lord is definitely saying he puts you in an elevator, which is a place where he wants to bring you upward. Like that. I don't know if in your dream you actually went up in the elevator, but I just got this picture of you're going up in the elevator, and he's like, I'm giving you a new name. You are the protector of humanity. Like, I don't want you to let fear or any of that get in your way. I want you to come to full fruition in your faith. And so that's kind of what I heard. It kind of, it goes along with what Cody was saying as well. So.
Thanks, Janet. Irene, does any of that resonate with you?
Yeah, it does. The only thing, there's a couple of things. This guy, I remember I did have a crush on him in school, but nothing ever happened. Like there's nothing, That's one thing. And then the second part is I actually I'm an avid gardener, so you actually need like 2 levels of the container in order for the carrots to grow to full length. So that was something that kind of stuck out to me.
Right. So it was almost like stunted by the way it was planted. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, because I was thinking, well, the carrots will be this big then. They won't actually be the full size.
The full, what they could have been.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost that like they could have potentially been so much larger, you know.
Yes.
So it kind of goes back to that idea of like, it was almost like, I see it almost, it wasn't given the proper space, maybe even to grow, you know. And I don't know what your, you know, past was like, but you know, that kind of that idea of, and maybe, like I said earlier, maybe fear, it might be part of why it wasn't really given that space to grow. I mean, if you feel like you're being, if there was some threat in some way, you know, I mean, it may not be, do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know if it's relevant to you or whatever, but let's just say it's been a very interesting last 5 years where I got married and we ended up having 5 miscarriages. And then my husband decided to opt out of our marriage. So I was also unsure whether it had something to do with that. But
yeah. Possibly. I mean, I guess I'm not sure. So
those are great questions. And I would take to the Lord. Now, let me ask you this question as it relates to being a Christian in Norway. Is there persecution on Christians in Norway? Do you feel any pressure at all not to speak out publicly, to mind your place?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. It's become really hard. Like, we look to America a lot over here, so it's become very similar to the way America is now. So
I just want to tell you that I'm sorry that happened to you with your husband. The carrots did happen, right? They did replicate. They didn't grow to full size, but there was a replication, right? So unfortunately, it's different than a miscarriage, because a miscarriage isn't that the baby was premature, it was the baby never happened. So in this dream, I'm not sure that there's a connection between your miscarriages. I don't think, just because you're probably going to be asking, because your husband, it looks like he's gone, I don't think this is a love interest from this kid, but it is an interesting symbol that he's there from your childhood. So the question then would go to what Janet's saying. Is it tying to a time in your life from your past where maybe you feel stunted? Now, that may be it, but I'm sure you're wondering if he's some kind of a love interest. I'm not sure that this dream says that, but I would, if that's something you're interested in, you would ask the Lord that. So might, okay, good. I just want to clear that up, just so we're clear, everything that could possibly be there. And I didn't think that you would, but it's better to say it and it not be the case than to wonder it, right?
Yeah, he's not a Christian. And he's also married to someone else and has kids.
Yeah. So. Okay, great. So then he could be someone that you should be sowing into, right? So someone that, because it's interesting that in the dream, you're working with him for the replication of the fruit, right?
Yeah.
So that's an interesting thing. The Lord could be working on him because for sure I was getting a replication of the fruit. It's stunted, and that could be the environment that you're in. I could tell by the way you were describing it that there was something off with the boxes. I could just tell that from the way you're talking it, but I didn't hear that from the Lord. But it is interesting that you pointed that out. Is there some way? So I was getting oppression on the Christian environment and the environment for the gospel to go forward. Janet was getting a more personal taste on you, if you're not uncomfortable saying. Is there a time in your season in your past where you did feel stunted in your Christian growth?
Yes. I got saved when I was 12, and when I was 15 I was really felt like I should get baptized, and my parents wouldn't let me. And I told them so late that already filled up the baptismal tank in the church. And they ended up having a conversation with the pastor about, baptism and all that. And basically they didn't allow me. And then I moved away for college and then I ended up getting baptized when I was 20 and attended a church.
Okay,
So,
great. Now, just so I can clear one thing, because we do have a hard cutoff and we are late, but I just think this is important, so I'm going to do it anyway. In the dream, your family had the best hotel room, right?
yes.
Yes. So then you were getting attacked for having the favor, right? Okay. I just want to make sure I heard that point correctly, because that I do want to make sure that you may be feeling some kind of pressure or some kind of being attacked, but I do think that this is a calling on your life about replication. And I do think what Janet has said applies maybe in the way you felt stunted in some way, but the Lord is calling you forward now in a dangerous situation, possibly, or challenging situation, to share the gospel.
That's awesome.
And can I add just one quick thing? I also keep hearing for that little boy, like, that is your first love, which would be Jesus Christ, your first love. Like, and he's trying to tell you, return to that first love, that the love you first felt for Christ in your youth, when you wanted to be baptized and they wouldn't let you. And I just feel like he wants you to return to that. It's a youthful love. It's a agape love. When you're first a child and you just love the Lord so much. And he's saying, return to that. That's what I'm getting for that little boy too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing your journey. I know infertility and losing babies can be hard. We got pregnant 5 times, but only had 3 boys. So we had the first and the last one we lost. So we didn't lose all 5, but we lost 2. And I know how difficult that can be on a woman and my wife. And on our first one, I wasn't paying attention, just went back to work and missed the fact that my wife had really struggled with it. So thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that. And we just want to bless you. So blessings. Thanks. And please come back.
Yes.
Thank you. I will.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. So thanks, everyone. We're going to run the outro, and then Jenna, just stick around for 1 second afterwards. Thanks, everyone. Cheers.